I think that the transformations that are happening on the web right now are pretty enormous, and I think that what's really important to understand about it is that previously it used to be just a few institutions or a few privileged individuals who created information and were able to distribute that information widely. But with the growth of the internet and a whole host of other technologies, anybody can create information, whether it's a photo from a birthday party over the weekend, or whether it's a blog post, or whether it's a status update. And not only can they create that, but then they can distribute that to the people that they know and the people who care about their opinion. So we're seeing this shift on the web, which is began 15 years ago with the beginning of the web and is continuing to blossom now, where everyone becomes information creators. And not only are they creating that, but that information is then being consumed by the people who are most interested in it. I think that's a revolution in the way information is created and distributed, and it's something that touches every organization. The way that people in sort of the technology space talk about the web is in terms of web generation. So the common shorthand is like Web 1.0, Web 2.0, and then some people talk about Web 3 these days. And so sometimes that's useful. Sometimes I think the terminology can just be a little bit of a trap to think about these things. But generally, the differences between each of these are the first generation of the web was the one where organizations came in and created presences on the web. So this is where the New York Times comes in and sets up a website. CNN comes in. Basic businesses come in, and it's still a one-to-many approach. An organization setting up a website, and people come to look at it. In the second generation of the web, the themes are much more about individuals creating their own content in what have come to be really, really dense and extensive networks. So in the second generation of the web, you could say that it started with something as early as GeoCities or Blogger, but really comes to its fruition with something like MySpace and then Facebook, where individuals are the ones creating content. Of course, the New York Times still has its website, but the only way that stays relevant is to the extent that they have other people submitting videos there, or creating comments, or creating blog posts for their own website. You see the same thing in something like YouTube and the explosion of support of people-powered content, Facebook, all of these things. Everybody has become creators in the system. Web 3 is still one of those terms which is getting defined, and lots of people try to draw lines. But I think that the couple of themes that are really of note are a move towards distributed computing. So in terms of the infrastructure of the web, it's no longer that we have these endpoints where data lives. So let's take an example that probably all of you know. Everybody's used Microsoft Word now for 10 years. You save a document, it's on your physical computer, and if you need for it to go somewhere, you used to have to put it on a disk and bring it to someone, or now you can email it. But what we're seeing the explosion of is something like Google Docs. Do you guys use Google Docs, or are some people familiar with it? Point is, you put a document, like a Word document, and instead of saving it to your machine, you save it on the web. So anybody then can come in and access it. Anybody can coordinate it, but it doesn't actually live on your machine. It lives in what's called the cloud.